Hi, welcome to Brady's Blunders, where I show you the mistakes in my games, hoping you don't make the same ones in yours. And before I jump into today's game, let me do a couple of housekeeping items. First, I'm sorry I haven't done more videos lately. There's a few reasons for it, or excuses if you prefer. First, I've been driving up the West Coast and back from Monterey all the way up to Seattle and back, so something like 2,000 miles, visiting family and friends. It was a great trip, but I wasn't able to make any videos while I was on it. And the second thing is AlphaGo. And I know that I said in the last video that I was going to do a video for episode 4 or game 4. And indeed, I did make that video. I had made it at the same time I did the third, but as I edited it and watched it, I decided I just didn't particularly like it. And I'm not going to put up a video I don't like. So sorry for that. But that doesn't mean I'm done with AlphaGo. And I've actually been working on another project. And that is to make a video about AlphaGo that can be appreciated not just by Go lovers or artificial intelligence enthusiasts, but people who don't know much about either. My hope is that if I do a decent job with it, that it'll be something that you could share with your friends and family and anyone else who's asked you about AlphaGo because they'd heard about it on the news, or maybe that you shared with them because you thought it was so cool. And I'm hoping that this video can capture some of that feeling. And I am happy with the video. I'm going to talk about the history of Go, the history of computer Go. I talk about some of the nuances within the games and the future. And like I said, I'm quite happy with it, but I have a problem. And that is that right now the video is an hour and a half long. And I just don't think it's reasonable to ask Grandma to watch an hour and a half video. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I'll keep working on it. In the meantime, I decided to do some regular episodes. So while I was up in Seattle, I spent some time with Nick Sibicky, and he actually made the new jingle that you heard at the beginning of this. I hope you like it. Thanks a lot, Nick. So now on to the games. Well, a little bit of background on this one. I mentioned that I drove as far as Seattle, and while there I met up with Nick Sibicky and Andrew Jackson and their lovely wives, and we played lots of board games. But Nick and I managed to get one game of Go in. Actually, Andrew was asleep on the couch at the time. Maybe that's what I should call this episode, while Andrew slept. Anyway, so this is the game, or part of the game that I played with Nick. And I'll talk about one blunder in this episode and save one for the next. All right, I'm playing black, and Nick was white. And he was actually using his brand new shell stones that he has, and they are beautiful. All right, so with this board position, I decided to invade at the top up here. And I thought it was an all right move. I wasn't sure it would work. But when my friend Jenny saw it, she said, yeah, this shouldn't work. And if white covers it, are you really going to eat a single stone? Is that your plan? And I said, yeah, that was exactly my plan. And it would go something like this. And she said, but you really actually kind of solved White's problems for him. His groups that were separated are now linked up, and he's beginning to control the outside. So this wouldn't be a good result. You grabbed a single stone, and he got thickness. So yeah, my invasion wasn't wise. Fortunately for me, Nick didn't play that way, and instead Nick blocked on this side. So I bumped over here, he extended, and I jumped. Nick wedged, Atari connect, and then Nick made shake like this because his corner group was getting into trouble. So here's today's game problem. If you were black, where would you play? Black has a weakness here, has a cutting point here. White stones up here aren't entirely alive yet, and neither are his stones here. So just go ahead and pause if you want. I'll wait here for you. I actually, especially in hindsight, don't really feel too terrible about this blunder, and I actually suspect I might make it again. But let me show you what I played. And I played here, and I guess it looks a little wimpy. But what I was thinking is that if I play somewhere else, then white could just push through like this. And when I connect this way, white would push through this way. And he's connected again. He's connected two groups, and this one becomes entirely safe. And not only has one group to worry about, but meanwhile, I still have a cutting point, and it looks to me that I'm getting surrounded. So this looked very uncomfortable, and that's why I decided to play the way I did. But that was a misread and a misunderstanding. And the best way, or at least a really good way for black to play, is to go ahead and threaten this white group like this. And indeed, I can't quite kill white, but it can come close. And by the way, a black move at A works equally well. So let's say black lives with moves like this, right? Two eyes. Oh, he has to save the two eyes. But in doing so, he's allowed me to completely split his groups. And now this white corner group is significantly weaker than it was. So I can go ahead and attack it directly. And this is where it gets tricky, because let's say white plays this. Of course, if I play the result, the continuation that I thought I needed to, white's fine. And I'm not gained very much. So this wouldn't be terribly good. But do you see why I don't have to play that way? I didn't. Anyway, I could play this way. And when white captures the single stone, I can offer a ko. And it turns out white has to play the ko. If he goes ahead and fills like this, then I can play here. And unfortunately for him, this sequence doesn't work because the ladder is good for me. So that wouldn't work. And also, unfortunately for him, once I have this stone here, this white group has a dead shape. There's nothing it can do to live. So the game would be, well, pretty much over with this sequence. So instead of playing like that, white would have to offer a ko, something like this. But it's going to be really hard for white to find any ko threat that's nearly as big as the whole upper left at a scale like this. Perhaps the most interesting ko threat white can find is this, but now that these white stones are alive, these black stones aren't as important anymore, and I can give them up. And I mean, this is still a decent threat because these black stones aren't, they're now going to have to run for a while, but I think it would totally be worth it. I'd have the whole upper left, still room to develop in the bottom, and just one weak group to take care of. The game would be pretty good for black. So the lesson for this one is one-sided reading. Normally one-sided reading is the other way, but in this case I did one-sided reading against myself with the assumption that I would have to connect here, and I didn't look at all the possibilities, like that I could create a ko. So, all right, that's enough for this episode. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.